I Love Mortgage Brokering, episode 24.
Want to learn from the top 5% of mortgage brokers in the country? Then you have come to the right place. Join Scott Peckford on I Love Mortgage Brokering.
Hi, Broker Nation. I am thrilled to introduce our guest today. Luisa Hough is a mortgage broker with Ziva Mortgage. She's been a broker for 10 years and is based out of South Surrey. She's the number 44 mortgage broker in CMP Magazine's Top 75, and she's a partner with Ziva Mortgage. I am stoked about this interview today. Luisa, are you ready to rock?
Yes, I'm ready to rock.
Awesome. So I always like to start off and if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Okay. I'm married with 2 children. I've been in the business since November of 2004. Previous to that, I was a conveyancer for a law firm for over 12 years, which provided me invaluable experience and connections in the mortgage industry. I got into the mortgage business through my connections from being a conveyancer. The people I'd work with encouraged me to take the leap into mortgages, given the knowledge and experience in the real estate side of things. And when I took that leap, it was the best thing I ever did.
So as a conveyancer, obviously you're a salaried employee. Maybe you have benefits if you're at a big firm, and then you're going to jump to straight commission. So how did that feel?
That was what stopped me. There was a couple of friends of mine that were in the business who just left their employers and went into the business. And for 2 years, they kept asking me to do it. And I just was afraid to take that leap. I had just had a baby, and I'm like, what am I doing giving up, like you just said, a salary, benefits. But I just, loved the thought of going on my own and being able to control the time I spent, the money I made. And you know what? It was the best thing I ever did.
So if you remember back in your first year, did you match your conveyancing salary, or where did you sort of fall in that first 12 months?
My first year, I actually exceeded my conveyancing salary.
Nice. That's awesome. Not everybody has that experience.
I know it was, and it was just my first few months. I'm going to tell you, I worked really, really hard, and I found a couple of great people that helped me in the real estate world, and I was able to make it all work. I was able to get started, and then from there it just snowballed. I had lots of family who was there to support me and provide me referrals, and being Italian, it was I have a very big family that was willing to support me. So it was really exciting, and it was really great.
And because you came from sort of a real estate background, it was easier to build that trust, because they would have said, well, we know you sort of have an understanding of this stuff.
That's right. I knew both sides of it. I knew how to get there, and I knew how to finish the mortgage. So it was really good.
That's awesome. So before we dive into your story, I always like to ask about a success quote, and I love quotes because they distill an idea down into just a short sentence, and you can take it with you. It's like a portable. And
right.
So can you share a quote that's impacted you?
Yes, it's "Please don't keep me a secret." It was a quote that I heard from a speaker at camp, Symbol back then in 2004. And this quote changed my thought process and how I was going to approach my business. It was just that. Please don't keep me a secret. Why should I be a secret to anybody? So I put that pretty much on everything. I said it in my voicemail. I said it in my letters. I said it in my emails. Don't keep me a secret. Tell everybody about me.
And so how long ago was that you came across this quote?
2004.
And is your business like basically all referral?
Most of my business is all referral, yes. Basically all referral.
Right. I think it's you and Bernadette both have a fantastic voicemail. When I called and I left a message, yeah. I'm like, seriously,
yes,
it's like marketing in your voicemail. I was just, it's awesome.
Yes, it's the Joe Stump quote, or the Joe Stump voicemail.
Yeah, it's really good. So I think obviously it works, and it reminds you, because sometimes people, even if they like you, if they're employees, sometimes they just forget that our business is built on referrals. And so if you don't ask, they just forget. They go, "Oh, she's fantastic.
That's
I would
right.
use her," but then they don't think like self-employed people think. That's
right. That's exactly right. You're exactly right.
Right. And so this quote, "Please don't keep me a secret." So you've got it on your voicemail, you've got it on your email. Is there anywhere else that you've applied it?
Just on I haven't, I'm not in the social media as of yet. I'm one of the late bloomers, so that will be on that as well, but it's on anything that I have. I used to have it on my business card, but I did remove that off of there, but it's on everything else.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And so another area that I find, for me anyway, has been failure. I know that as a mortgage broker and business owner, there's times I've failed at things, and looking back, there's always a lesson if I take the time to look back. And so can you share an example of something that you failed at, and then when you look back at it, the lesson that you learned?
Yeah, so that's a tough one. That is one. The one thing that I realized when I got into this business, I thought that because of the connections that I had with my previous employment, I thought that I would not have to work hard in getting the business and that it would just come in. I dealt with, as a conveyancer, as you know, with realtors and banks and, so many people. I did not realize that I had to actually go out there and get the deals and build new and stronger relationships. I had to reestablish the trust and the confidence with people that I already knew. They knew me as a conveyancer. They didn't know me as a mortgage broker. So when I made that transition, it was really hard. It was really hard reestablishing the trust, because they didn't trust me as a mortgage broker. They trusted me as a conveyancer, which, even though it's similar, it's a different type of business.
Right. So how did you break down that barrier when you're approaching these people that knew you as conveyancer, Luisa, and you're like, hey, guess what? I've decided to become a mortgage broker. What was it?
I was persistent. I told them what I knew. I showed them stuff that I had learned. I had pamphlets. I just, constantly, I was persistent. I was like a pit bull. Every week there was 3 or 4 realtors that I had a very good relationship with when I was in conveyancing, and I just was on them. And every week I would, give them more product, or I would give them information. I would just throw a tidbit here. I would ask them for coffee. I would go for lunch. So it was just, they just said that if I was this hard on them, getting them to, meet with me, that they would send me over a deal. And you know what? Those were the 4 realtors that helped me out the first year. Like I said earlier on in our interview, they were the ones that, got me to meet my salary that I was making as a conveyancer.
Right. And so basically it was that polite persistence that allowed you to kind of build that bridge, the gap.
Yeah. So I definitely got a lot of rejection. And it's tough in this business to deal with rejection, but there's a lot of it, and we just have to get past that and not take it personally.
Right. When I think about that story, it almost doesn't sound like a failure, though. It almost sounds like a success, because the failure maybe was initially thinking that people were just going to automatically assume, okay, she was a great conveyancer, she'd be a great mortgage broker.
Yeah, and I felt I failed at that, because I thought that I was good enough to, that's it's a tough question.
Right. So it is a failure, but you solved it, and so you showed us the solution on top of it. So that's even better. Okay, you get bonus points for that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So one other thing I've noticed talking to successful brokers is they always have a system and a process, and it's not just random. And so they're also willing to tweak their process in order to get better results. So I'm going to ask you sort of about 2 parts. The first part I'll ask about is administrative. So I know that you're involved with the underwriters at Ziva. And so can you share an example of a specific sort of administrative process that maybe wasn't working as well as you'd like, and then what kind of an adjustment you made and what the outcome you got?
Sure. So basically, in the beginning of my career, I'll kind of start, if that's okay, how I got into the administrative side of it. In the beginning of my career, I did everything myself. I wanted to learn as much as I could, and I realized I needed help, experience, and more knowledge of the industry. I said to you earlier, I leaned on other mortgage brokers who gave me tips. One of them being to get help. I decided at that point to hire a dedicated underwriter who took care of all the back-end paperwork. That was where I struggled. I would get the business, and I loved dealing with the people, and I struggled with the back end and learning all that paperwork. I'm not sure if you find that, but most of us brokers seem to find that in the back-end paperwork. And then just dealing with the lenders, all that time, that I felt that I wasn't focusing on, or all that time I was focusing on building my business and relationships instead of working in my business. So it was really hard to make that change. So what I did is when I hired that underwriter, we set a process in place where she took care of everything. All I had to do was go out and get the business. We set up a system where there was initial contact with the client from myself and her. There was initial contact with the lender, so that all I had to do was go out and get the business.
Mm-hmm. And so, what your process was you do everything. You're the chief cook and bottle washer, and then you're like, wait a second, I'd rather be out in the front of the restaurant, getting more customers, and I'll just get someone to work in the kitchen and make sure everything. And so did you put processes in place to kind of supervise to make sure that because obviously your reputation is on the line regardless of whether you do it or your assistant does it, right?
Right. We basically put in some systems that, it didn't even know, that clients didn't even know that it wasn't coming from them. It was actually coming from me. So really, it was just some touch points that I put in, whether it was a little thank you note, whether it was a little email, whether it was a little card or something like that, that I was always in their face, always in there. So, yeah.
It seems to me like talking to people, the evolution of a mortgage broker goes from sort of, do everything, get busy, hire an assistant, and then sort of as you can't get to certain scales without putting in a team in place. It becomes a team sport instead of an individual sport.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly it. It's definitely, and within the first 3 years, I realized how valuable having an underwriter and a team behind you was. It's the best thing I ever did.
Mm-hmm. No, it's awesome.
I encourage all new brokers to do the same.
Right.
And everyone you've talked to, I'm sure that most of the successful brokers out there have dedicated underwriters or some sort of administrator.
Yeah, they do. Most of the time, they're trying to spend their time on the things that they can't outsource.
That's right. That's right.
So on the sales side, so obviously sales would be, I would say, obviously one of your strengths as well. And so successful brokers always have a sales process. It's not, again, they don't just show up and kind of go, so what can I help you with? And so can you share an example of a part of your sales process maybe that wasn't working as well as you'd like, and then a kind of an adjustment that you made and what the outcome was?
Yeah. One of the processes that I found, and, some brokers may say that I'm wrong, but one of the processes I found that wasn't working for me was sending out newsletters. I found that clients just ended up deleting them off their emails or just throwing them away while they were mailed out. For all us brokers that used to send them by snail mail, I decided to change that process, and I was more involved with advising my clients that when they did receive something from me, it meant that it was important that they should read it. Mm-hmm. I tried not to inundate my clients with, too much information. So what I did for my touch points was I would send out treats throughout the year to keep my name and face in front of them. So treats meaning, birthday cards, a scratchy, a little promo. So that when I did send out a rate sheet or information or market news, that they would read it. So, honestly, that really worked for me. And that's really what I changed, in my business. And in the last, 5 years, I've had, lots of clients say that, they don't get a lot of stuff from me, but when they do, they know that they should read it.
Right. And so are you sending this out by mail, or is it email, or what's the mechanism you're using?
You know what? It depends. I have a really different type of clientele. Some like still mail and some by email. So I do a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. Once a year, I will do like their birthday cards or the scratchies. I'll definitely do by mail. Mm-hmm. I won't do their birthdays by email.
Right. So
I always like to receive a card in the mail for my birthday, so I figure so would everybody else.
Right, and a scratch and win. And they can obviously just take the money and put it against their mortgage if they win.
Exactly.
Because that's what everybody would do.
Win $1,000 over the last 10 years. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so another area, that's a great sales tip. So you got to figure out what works for you and then put together a process so that it's consistent. So have you missed any years of the birthday card? If I can be, so bold as to say, have you missed any of the years?
No, never.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No. Never miss the year. And I always make sure that when I do their birthdays, it's not just one month of, February birthdays and they all go at the same time. They actually go out a few days or to a week before their actual birthday.
Right. Who does them for you?
My assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. I still, as long as it's being done, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so another area that I've had people talk a lot about is diversifying your income, and so there seems to be two camps forming in my mind. One that says yes, you need to diversify, and another that says no, you need to just focus on brokering. So, where do you fall? And if you are diversifying, what area are you focusing on?
There's two areas actually that I've been focusing on more this year, and one is selling a bit more mortgage insurance. And the bigger focus is on lenders that are providing trailer fees. I've really tried to focus a bit on those two.
So that's like diversifying your income by basically taking less now so that you can get paid over the long term.
That's right. Mm-hmm. I'm just finding that the banks right now have, their retention team that seems to be really, really strong. And you know, you do have clients that after the 5 years will come to you, regardless of what rate they're getting at the branch that's trying to retain them. But I do find that, you know, I don't want to focus on trying to keep that business. I want them to stay with me. And if they don't, I don't want to have to I don't want to say force them to stay with me, but I don't want to have them. I don't want to spend so much time on retaining that business. I want to be able to have more business and retain it. So I think that having the trailer fees is really going to help me with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I've been looking at that more too. And then, so
yeah.
I think it's good long-term planning. And how do you balance sort of, you got your business, your family? So how do you running your practice and your family?
I don't sleep.
You don't sleep?
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. You know what? I have a great support team at the office and at home. I have a husband that's also in the industry, and we're able to work around each other's schedule, which allows us the flexibility to support the kids with what we have to do in our activities and, of course, our work life. I also let our clients know that family and home life is important to me, just as it is for them, and that I seldom schedule appointments on weekends, and I try and work late evenings, 1 or 2 nights a week, so I have that flexibility so that I can keep everyone happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like the way to go. I mean, you still have to fit time in. If you don't schedule, you know, your work can easily overcome your whole week, so it's good.
And it can. And, you know, like I said, with husband being in the same industry, sometimes, you know, work can just go into home. So we've made a pact that after a certain time at 6:00, we just don't talk about work anymore. It has to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my wife was a mortgage broker and still has a license, but not active right now. And so we've discussed, you know, periodically about possibly working together. But if I do that, I will have to call you and get some tips, because
yes, yes. It has its challenges, but it's definitely really good.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So I'm going to move to the rapid fire questions. So these you can answer with a little shorter answers if you like. So what is the number one thing holding back most mortgage brokers from being successful?
I think knowledge. I find that there are a lot of brokers that aren't dedicated to learning the ins and outs of the business. I learned early that the top brokers in the industry attend anywhere between 2 and 5 conferences a year, and they're never satisfied and are always trying to improve themselves year after year. I just really think that more brokers need to have the knowledge of our industry and what's out there.
Right. And are you attending camp this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're going to go too. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's really good. I went to last year's was really good, and the previous before that was Vancouver and I believe Montreal. I've missed one.
Mm-hmm.
I've missed one over the last 10 years.
Oh wow, I have missed a lot more than that, but I'm back I'm on track now.
Oh, good. So we'll see you there.
So what one thing or habit do you think has made you successful?
Consistency, persistence, and probably the fact that I get emotionally attached to my clients.
Right.
Yeah, that's helped. That's helped a lot. I treat this as a full-time job. I'm here from 7 to 7,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about the commitment I have to this life.
Right. And so do you have an internet resource, a software program you use to make your business more successful?
I do. I just started with a Verico broker base that they are offering to us, as well as I have my own database management called Salesforce. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. We've had that for quite a few years.
You use Salesforce?
Salesforce, yes.
Yeah, I've used it in the past with a friend in one business that we had.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
It's so robust. You literally can do anything with it. The trick is figuring out how to, you know, use the stuff you need and ignore.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you guys been using it a long time?
We have. We've been using it now. I think it's 10 years. It was the first year that I got into the business. I started using it.
You're one of the few people who actually set up a CRM at the beginning. Most people do it once they get busy and realize they made the mistake of not doing it.
Well, I had some great brokers behind me, and you know, I followed their lead.
Right. When you listened.
I don't want to say it, but I'm a very good listener.
Yeah, that's a thing. You listen. Most people don't.
I listened. Yes.
If you could recommend one book for our listeners, what would it be?
I just finished reading Time Trap by Todd Duncan.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I'm actually going to his conference in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that too online. Mm-hmm. It looks good. And so where do you think our industry's headed? Where's the opportunity?
Where do I think it's headed? I feel the industry's made some changes over the last few years. It's made our jobs much more challenging. I think that there's going to be some more changes which is going to make our jobs even more difficult. What they are, I don't know. Call it a women's intuition. I do think there's going to be some more changes. This is obviously my opinion, but I also feel today's newer brokers need to align themselves with teams and brokerages that can provide them with the help and guidance that they need to become successful brokers. We need as brokers to work as a team as well. That's something that I really feel strongly about, and stand as a united front. There's enough business for all of us. Mm-hmm. I just think that sometimes we're against each other, and I just really feel that we need to stand together.
Right, agreed. Like our overall market share is maybe 30%, and so that means 7 out of 10 people are going to the bank. So we're going to.
That's right.
We should be competing with head to head with the bank more than each other.
That's right. Let's stand together and show, people that are in this industry that we can, bring up our percentage of the market share. I mean, we should be at 50-60% right now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So here's one of my favorite questions. It's the DeLorean. You remember the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
And so I watched that the other day. It was awesome. And so in that movie, there's the time traveling car. And so if you could get in that car and you could pick one time to go back to, and it would be your first day as a mortgage broker. I'm sorry, you can't go back to like your prom night or anything.
Yeah.
And give yourself advice. And so you're giving yourself advice so that your business will be better today. So what 3 things would you say to yourself on your first day that you would to have a better business 10 years today?
I would have definitely, from the beginning, had a dedicated underwriter working for me right away. And I would have also told myself to support the trailer fee model much earlier than I'm doing now.
Okay, so that's 2. What will be the 3rd thing?
Oh, okay. I would align myself with like-minded people who wanted to succeed in the industry. So I would have tried to align myself with top brokers that I could follow what they were doing. I mean, I did for the most part, but I would have definitely started with that.
Okay, so
and not trying to do it myself.
Get a dedicated underwriter, support the trailer model so that you're building yourself a revenue for the long term, and then really be intentional about aligning with people that are going to sort of help you grow your business. That's right. Right, awesome. Well, I've really appreciated your time in this interview, and I'm stoked. I'm excited about what you guys are doing at Ziva. I think it's groundbreaking in the sense that you're creating this sort of an awesome underwriting service for brokers, and so that people can check you out. So where can people find you online?
They can find us online at louisahough.ca and www.ziva.ca.
Ziva. And how do you spell Ziva?
XEVA.
Okay, because I was spelling it wrong. And so if anybody else listening is listening to in the show notes at ilovemortgagebrokering.com, they can get links to Louisa's website, to Ziva, and to anything else that we talked about. Louisa, are you guys hiring right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so, and who should they contact?
So anybody out there looking, they can contact Trevor at 604. Should I tell you the number?
Yeah, if you want. I can put it on the site too.
Oh, put it on the site. Yeah, that's perfect.
I'll put the site. So email Louisa, or I'll put a phone number there if they want to chat with you guys. And so I appreciate I appreciate your time today, and I hope you rock the rest of your year.
Thank you. You too.
Want to learn from the top 5 mortgage brokers in the country? Then you have come to the right place. Join Scott Peckford on I Love Mortgage Brokering.
Hi, Broker Nation. If you enjoyed this interview, please take a minute, visit iTunes, and rate this podcast. If you do, you'll get 3 deals in the next month. Okay, that's not true, but I would really appreciate it. Also, I want to invite you to join me on a quest. After every episode, I personally take 5 minutes and think about one thing or one idea I can use to improve my mortgage business. I encourage you to do the same. Over the next 12 months, I plan to do 100 interviews and make 100 improvements. I'm going to track these to see how they impact my business and, more importantly, my bottom line. Visit ilovemortgagebrokering.com and post in the show notes what one thing you plan to do differently after listening to this interview, and check out what other brokers are sharing. Also, if you'd like to connect with me, fire me an email at scott@robyourbank.com. I love hearing from passionate mortgage professionals who are interested in improving their business. Until next time, rock on.